Hi! In this tutorial, I will show you the proper way to roll a wheel in Cinema 4D. First, we need to create the wheel. So I take a cylinder, the axis, height maybe 20, radius, I don't care, maybe 100, 40 segments, and I will just create a material to see what's going on, and I put a checkerboard on it. Here we go. Last thing, I put the cylinder inside the null, and now the goal is to rotate the cylinder when the null is moving. We need to find the proportionality between this movement and this rotation. Quite easy. Like if I have this with this mark, when it's down, I need to move it by its circumference so that it makes a complete turn. When the null distance equals the circumference, then the cylinder rotation equals 360 degrees, right? And we know the circumference equals 2 pi radius. But this can be simplified. When you go in Espresso, let's put Espresso tag on the null. I put the cylinder on it, and I open the cylinder coordinates global rotation B, because the B rotation is what we want to animate here. You need to know that even if it displays degrees here, it only takes radian into account. If I want this to make 360 degrees, I should not put 360 here. I should plug 2 pi, because a full rotation is equal to 2 pi radian, not 360. That's in degree. We can write here, every time it's 2 pi radius on the null distance, here it's 2 pi in radians. Okay, so this can be simplified. If I divide it by radius, and here 2, we have the null distance when it's equal to 2 pi, the rotation is equal to 2 pi over radius, right? So when it's 1 here, it will be 1 over radius. And it's the same for every number, 2 pi, 1, 2, 3, 30, same thing. What we found here is when the null distance is a certain distance, the cylinder rotation will be the distance over radius. So no pi involved here. We can do that really easily in Espresso. Now we understood. We put the null, we find the coordinates global position x, and just we need a divide node. So we type add, math add, we change it to divide, and we take the cylinder again, object properties, radius, and we divide the distance, as we said, by the radius. And that is the rotation in radians that we need. And that's it. When I move the null, the rotation is good. But the problem is, if I am to 0 and I resize the radius, it's good, it works, but if now I take the null, I put it away, and I change the radius, it rotates, because Cinema 4D thinks, given its radius, it should have been a lot of turns, and if it's bigger, Cinema 4D thinks, oh, there is less turns, but we don't want it to update like that. If you want to resize the radius when it's moving, you want to say the rotation of the past remains the rotation of the past. And how do you do that? There is a turnaround. If you don't consider the global position of the X, but just the position of one frame, you have no problem, because at one given frame, the cylinder has only one radius, no variation of radius. So if you just addition the distance of the null between frame 0 and 1, and then the distance between frame 1 and 2, etc., etc., you just add the right rotation of the cylinder at each frame, and the global rotation at the end of the timeline will be correct. Once you understood that, it's really easy to do. As we said, we don't want the global position, we want just the distance between this frame and the previous frame. So how do we do that? We need to make a subtraction, so not add but subtract, and we want the actual position, and we will subtract the previous position. So we can choose this here, but the easiest way to have the global position is by the memory node. So memory here, and this memory we take an history depth of 2 and history level of 1, and input here. So we have previous position here, and we subtract. So what we got here is the distance between previous frame and actual frame. That's what we divide multiplied by the radius. And what we got here is the rotation for one frame. But the global rotation of the cylinder is not just one frame, it should be the rotation of all the frame since we started the movement. So we need to add what we did here to itself at each single frame. Very easy. You take the cylinder, control drag to duplicate, we can delete this port with right click, and we take the rotation, B, the same as here, same memory node as for the position, and we add that previous rotation to the actual rotation with this add, as we did before. And this is not working, so maybe instead of this memory we will try a different way, which is take the previous rotation and we take a vector to reals, which means the real Z here is the previous B rotation, and we add it to the actual, same logic, and we can test. Yeah, it works. And now, if I resize the radius, it works. Last thing, because we don't want the circle to go below the surface, we can just tell the cylinder position Y to be the same as the radius. And it works. It stays to the surface, so we can make a little animation to test it. We start with a low radius, we put a keyframe on the position each of the null 2, we go far away in the timeline, we move the null, we increase the radius, and we can check if it works. Yeah, it does. The rotation is proportional at any given frame. I actually use this technique to make this template for After Effects, which is fully parametric. So if you happen to need to do this, you can save hours and hours of work by using this easy template. Link of my Gumroad in the description. So I hope it's been useful to you, and see you in the next tutorial. Have a good day.